Hey, what's up? This is going to be the timeline for a niche site, like a brand new affiliate site, and sort of how fast you can make progress. This is going to be a slightly different format, too. I think it could be exciting because I have all these pictures and stuff. So we're actually going to go through this whole deal and just want to make sure first, can everyone hear me? Give me a what's up in the chat. I see Santiago's in there. Also, this looks like a mirror image to me, and I'm pretty sure you could see it correctly, but just let me know. Just want to make sure that I'm not showing a backwards picture here. All right, Duke is on as well. We have Arun on also. Happy Valentine's Day, David. And we have our kind moderator. So appreciate that. They're going to keep order in the chat room. Occasionally we get some trolls on here, which is always exciting. We have Mads, Alexandria. Yeah, give me a shout. Here's the other thing. I'm going to try and keep this fast paced today, especially with the live stream. I'm going to maybe ignore the chat for a few minutes. So you can ask questions about timelines, stuff like that. I'm going to go over some interesting questions as well. Like, when will I make my first dollar? When will I have my first $100 month? How much can a site make in a year? And what is that last one? How much can I make as fast as possible? All right. So that will be an interesting one. And then I have some of this timeline stuff outlined here for us. So I'm trying to give people just an idea of how long certain things may take, and just something realistic, So the other part is I'm going to try and only go for about 30 to 45 minutes in this session today. If you want to see more, I do a regular Q&A on Fridays at this time, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, and I may do a couple afternoon sessions. I did one yesterday afternoon, so it turned out interesting. Georgie, the dog, had more camera time than I did. So let's get to it. Like I said, if you're just joining up, I'm going to go over a couple interesting questions like when can you make your first dollar? When will you have your first $100 month? And how much can I make within a year? And how can I make as much money possible as fast as possible? So with that said, I'm just going to give everybody a shout. So Mads is on, Alexandria. We have Firaz, Gregory, what's up, listening in the background, other David, and we have John and mine. Okay, cool. So let's get to it. People have these questions all the time. And again, I'm just going to ignore the chat. Everyone say thanks to the good folks that are keeping order over there. And I'm just going to go through this material. All right. So first off, the timeline. So it's sort of outlined here in a generic way. So you got a start day. You're going to hit $100 at some point. You're going to hit $1,000 or maybe $8,000 some point in the future. And in day 1,000, who knows where you'll be. Now, one thing I want to remind you, so if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like button. If you happen to be on here and you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. It helps me grow the channel. There's a lot of good stuff on here. I think you'll find that there's just a ton of valuable information. So this is kind of the stuff we're going to go over. And I'm going to let you know some of those milestones. They're very common questions. And why am I qualified to tell you this? So one, I've started many a sites, but the other thing is I have an interesting position in that I have a lot of students who have gone through my course and they've implemented the same stuff and I know their results, right? The other part is I've interviewed lots of other successful niche site people. So probably over a dozen or so where people are making $500 to $1,000 at a minimum, and some others are making like $10, $20, $30,000 per month. And the timeline kind of holds true. And it holds true if you're white hat, if you're gray hat, if there's some combination of the two. These timelines seem to hold true. Are there exception cases? Yes, but most of us are not exception cases, so that data isn't super helpful. However, I do have one data point I'll tell you about when it comes to, how quick can I make the, first 100, and how fast can I how fast can I ramp up in a year is the other part. So I have a one data point, which is unusual, and I'll give you some of the high level points so you'll understand why those outliers aren't so helpful. So again, just to recap, I know we have some other folks hopping on. I'm going to go over when will I make my first dollar, when will I have my first $100 month, and then I'll also talk about how much can I make in a year and how can I make money as fast as possible, which will be an interesting one to talk about. All right. I'm just going to keep these in order. If I need to refer back, I'm just going to hop over to the chat before I get into this actual timeline picture here. So just want to make sure nothing fell apart. And again, appreciate it, moderators. Couldn't do it without you. It would be mayhem over there. And at this point, I'm able to actually like focus on the content. So you'll notice now phase one here, and that is the niche selection process. So phase one should take you about 2 weeks. And this generally follows along with the 5-figure niche site. That's my premium course. Currently, the enrollment is closed, but about 2 weeks for niche selection. So what do you do in the niche selection process? That could be like a whole course just on that. In fact, I'm pretty sure there are courses on it, but here are the things that you would work on. You're looking at brainstorming. You need to come up with plenty of ideas. You'll be doing keyword research and then competition analysis. Again, each one of these things is a whole, 30-minute video, an hour-long video to go deep into it. Keyword research, again, there's whole courses on keyword research, but that's what you do in the first 2 weeks. Can you do it faster? Could you do it in a day? Yes, but the point is, like, this whole process here that I'm showing you, this whole thing, phase 1 through 5, like this whole deal, like if you mess up, I'm trying to peek underneath, but if you mess up the niche selection, it doesn't matter what you do later. If you mess up the first part, for example, like I did in my first couple sites, if you pick a niche where you can't sell anything at any point in time, there's no monetization method in mind, then you're screwed, right? If you do everything right, you can have tons of traffic, but you could struggle monetizing it. By the way, let me know in the comments and in the chat, do you happen to have a site that gets a lot of traffic, but you're not sure how to monetize it right? And that is why you want to spend 2 weeks. You want to brainstorm a whole lot of ideas. You want to do a bunch of keyword research. You want to do some analysis. If you rush through it, it's much harder to correct your mistakes later on. And this is where the project management stuff comes in. If anyone out there is a project manager, do let me know in the comments. I like to connect with other PMs. But as we know as project managers, if you catch a mistake early, it's always cheaper to fix it early. If you catch it later in the process, it's more expensive, and usually gets like exponentially more expensive. Now, if you're not a software person and you don't quite understand what I mean with the project management, catching the mistakes and all that stuff, imagine this. There are project managers for construction. Probably, they were doing that way before software engineers were doing their thing. But let's say you have plans and you're the project manager. You have plans to build a building and you catch the mistake after you've already laid the foundation, started building the building, and then you realize the foundation is flawed, right? Well, if you already have the building built, you have to tear down the whole building and then do the foundation again. So the later you catch a mistake, the worse. And that's why you spend 2 weeks on niche selection and figuring things out, because if you rush through it, you could be really in trouble. Basically, you have to toss your site. Next is a little faster, 1 week. So phase 2 is the infrastructure, and that's like building out the site. You get your hosting, pick your domain name, pretty straightforward. Get a theme, get it set up. Not content, but just getting the foundation laid, right? So you get the foundation for the site so you could add content and go from there. That can be done faster, right? There's no major issue to just do that in a day. In fact, if you've set up sites before, you can probably set up hosting in a day, right? It's pretty quick. In fact, I just bought a new hosting package. I'm migrating a new site over, and it could be an interesting project. I'll let you know in a few months once it's underway. And moving on, you have phase 3. That's the content sprint. So that could take 1 week to however long it takes. I put X weeks there. Here's the thing, not everyone can work through like all the content super fast. Maybe you have a limited budget. Maybe you have limited time. I think everyone has a limited budget and everyone has limited time. So that content sprint can take a long time if it needs to, but it doesn't have to. You can actually, if you have, say, a team of writers for some reason, maybe you run a writing shop or something like that, a writing service, and you can get, 10 people to write articles for you. You can get all the articles you need. Now, the key thing with that first sprint, and I want to emphasize this, there were a couple questions in just the last couple days where people were asking, hey, what's the minimum amount of content I could launch a site with? I think 10 pieces of content, there's a lot of caveats that come into it, but I'll just say 10 pieces of content will get you into the Amazon Amazon Associate program, and you'll be able to get approved with 10 pieces of content. Additionally, that's enough content to, attract visitors to your site from Google. That's how we're getting visitors, organic SEO. So that said, if you just get 10 pieces of content, you're in good shape. And I'm going through this high level before I get to the questions because we need to all have an understanding of the timeline before I can answer questions like when you make your first dollar, when can you make your first $100, stuff like that. So by the way, I'll say 10 posts. All right, so 10 posts for the first content sprint. That's all you need. You want to have 50% affiliate and informational. All right. Can you do more? Sure, but just do what I'm saying and you'll be better off. Could you do like 80%? Yeah, you could, but you may run into some issues. So you're better off just doing 50-50. And the fact is, it doesn't matter a ton. So again, 10 posts, 50% affiliate and 50% informational how-to kind of articles. It doesn't mean you can't add other affiliate links later on in the future. So quick recap before we move on to the next page. So you got phase 1, niche selection, 2 weeks. Phase 2, get the infrastructure done, set up the site, 1 week. Phase 3, 10 pieces of content. Basically you could do that as quickly as you want. You could do 1 week or so, that's kind of, you got to put in a few hours, or you could take like 2-3 weeks, whatever you need, or, 10 weeks, however long it takes you. If you are doing all the writing, maybe you want to, publish 1 article per week, and that'll be fine. All right. As we move on over to phase 4, things are taking a little bit longer. All right. Because there's more effort involved. So phase 4 here is going to take you 4 to however long it takes. And that is the outreach stuff. So after you publish your 10 pieces of content, you're going to be doing outreach. What does that consist of? That is networking within your niche. So you're probably commenting on blogs, and then you're trying to get guest posts, right? So you're networking. Don't ignore that part. That could take a few weeks, right? 2-3 weeks to network with someone. I got like 2-3 emails in the last couple of days for niche site project, and someone is just like, hey, you want to take a look at my infographic? The answer is no. I don't want to write an email and then have you send me something I have to do work for that doesn't actually help me at all. Like, where's my incentive to do anything? I'm trying to work on my own stuff, right? So if you send out emails where you don't take into account the other person and how it could be a mutually, beneficial relationship, it doesn't help. And most of the time, if you're reaching out to a blogger, it's cool, right? There's probably a lot of people on here that have emailed me and said, hey, I found something helpful. Thanks for publishing this video. I have a very small question, blah, 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 right? I usually answer back, right? It may take me a few weeks, but I usually answer back. But if you're literally emailing someone and asking for something as the first contact point, bad idea. Not going to work. It may work sometimes, but basically, you get blacklisted at some point, right? So this outreach sprint will take however long it needs to take. You could probably, get 10 to 15 guest post links in about 4 to 6 weeks if you're working on it or have a couple people working on it each week. Now, as far as how much time you're going to spend on things, I'll explain that in a minute, but that's why we have these sort of open-ended 4 weeks to, X weeks, however long it takes. The outreach, well, if you just stick to the blog commenting and the guest post, you should be in good shape. That's really all you need. Can you do other stuff? Potentially, but those are the minimum things you can do. Next is phase 5, and that is improve and add content, and it's sort of 4 weeks to ongoing, right? And then this, you'll notice I've tried to write this out as a timeline because that's the easiest way for people to visualize it. But here's what really happens, and this is what you should really think about when you're doing, a site like this. There's like ongoing work that happens, and I call it the content traffic profit sprint, and it's ongoing and it's as needed. For me, I don't want to constantly keep working on my site over and over and over again. And I mean, it's slightly passive, right? So you take advantage of that. Like once you have the site set up, it runs pretty well. And the thing is with this sort of sprint setup that we have here, what happens is you end up sticking in phases 4 to 5, right? So you're doing outreach and adding more content, and you're doing content and trying to get traffic. The traffic part is the part where you're doing the outreach. So this is what happens, but you kind of have to go back and forth, because once you do like the phase 5, or sorry, the phase 4, the outreach sprint, you need to assess where you're at that point. Do you need more content? Do you need more backlinks? There's not a blanket answer. So if you keep in mind you may have to do one or the other, well, you have flexibility. Now, for me, a lot of times, I'll add content and then I'll do outreach, and then I'll check on the content, see where it's ranking, see how old it is, see what kind of traffic it's getting. What I'll do then is I'll pick the posts that are getting traction, but they need a push. Or another way to say it is go to SEMrush, see what pages, what keywords are ranking, see what's ranking in, say, positions 1 through 8 or something. And then I'll go and improve that content, add more keywords, add more products, add more, to the buying guide section, if there is one, add more images. All these things help. I'll take a look at other keywords that certain posts are ranking for, but I'm not intending them to. Maybe I add a section on that. So it all fits together, and you end up like looking where you need to make improvements, looking where there's gaps. Again, maybe you're ranking for a specific term you're not even trying to, and you need to create a whole other piece of content, put it on your site, publish it, and then that will potentially start ranking because you're literally trying to target it. So the milestones. Here's the deal. Question number 1, I'll answer these questions and then I'll take a look at what's going on in the chat. Where are these questions? So number 1, when will I make my first dollar? It can be done, and I've seen it done many a times from beginners, in 4 to 6 weeks. So number 1, 4 to 6 weeks, if you're putting in about an hour per day and you follow the proper steps in the proper order, right? You can do it, and I've seen it done. Can you quit your job in 4 to 6 weeks? No. Can you make a few dollars in 4 to 6 weeks? Definitely. Does it prove the concept? And you could, talk to your spouse and say, see, I've spent time doing this and other people have made money and I just made my first couple bucks. It works. And now I just have to do more of the right stuff. Okay. Question number 2. What about the first $100 month? 6 months, give or take, a month or 2. It depends. There are many factors involved, right? When you look at the level of competition, your level of experience, it depends, right? You never really know, but I've seen $100 a month as quick as like 3 months. And I've seen it as long as, 8, 9 months or so, where someone's putting in the effort and they're doing what they're supposed to. Again, this is about an hour a day front loaded. So for about 2 or 3 months, you're probably doing an hour a day, 5 to 7 days a week. And within 6 months, potentially, right? Your mileage may vary. There's so many caveats here, but I've seen it done multiple times by beginners. 6 months, you have your first $100 month. Question number 3 is, how much can a site make in a year? I've seen sites make $0 in a year, right? Up to about 20K. Now, not beginners per se, right? Those are people that they know what they're doing. It's not their first site. And then the other thing is, for the $0, I've only seen 0 when someone, they skip around to different programs and different sort of strategies. So let's say you do what I'm telling you, you follow my timeline for 2 months, and then you stop doing that, and then you follow someone else, you go to, say, Cloud Living or Authority Hacker, and you start doing that stuff, and then you see someone talking about Pinterest traffic and you want to try Pinterest, and then you try FBA for a couple weeks, and then you realize, hey, I don't know what's going on. I've made $0 and I've been working on this for 3 hours a day for 9 months, and I've made $0. So it's a matter of focus. If you stick with it, and you see you're getting a little traffic on a specific post, and then you move forward and you understand that you need to do more of the good things and less of the bad, and you start focusing, you'll figure it out, right? But if you skip around, big mistake. And last question, by the way, if you're in the chat, you joined while I am talking, apparently highly caffeinated. I need to cut this off I have a meeting coming up, so I just need to make sure I finish in time. And we're aiming for fast-paced stuff. But by the way, ask some questions in there. Once I answer this last question, I'm going to get to that stuff. All right. 4th question is, how much can I make as fast as possible? Okay. If that's your question, you need to get a job, probably. So you have the wrong idea about how this works. If you're in a hurry to get money, you should do some kind of work in a local basis. There's very little that you can do online that you can make money really fast. If anyone is telling you that, they are definitely selling you some program on make money fast. And if you look through some other YouTubers out there, you'll see make $1,000 in one day with no money. That's BS. There's no if we could do that, we would all do that, right? There's no way. Are there edge cases and exceptions where someone can say yeah, this person did something, they made $1,000 in one day? Guarantee you they're not doing that every day, and I'm pretty sure it's some edge case. So if you're in a hurry to make money as fast as possible, you should probably look on Craigslist, find some gig where you can go out and help a crew dig a ditch or do work or whatever. Do that. You'll make money faster, and you'll be cut grass. I haven't talked about this, but in the past, but when I was 12, actually this is a good story, but when I was 12, I wanted to get a CD player, because some of my friends had a couple CDs and had some CD players, and my dad was like, well, how are you going to pay for it? And then if I buy you the CD player, how are you going to buy CDs? And I was like, oh, I have no idea. So I came back and I had, probably, I wish I had the piece of paper, but I was like, okay, if I start cutting grass, I'll be able to, make some money, and I'll be able to get CDs. And if I cut, 2 lawns per, week, I'll make, $40, and I could buy 2 CDs and still save some, and blah, blah, blah. All my assumptions were wrong, just like many assumptions are wrong when you're planning something out. But the next day, I pushed the lawnmower. I asked my dad if I could borrow the lawnmower. Pushed the lawnmower up to the closest neighbors, a few like a block down or so, and knocked on their door. Their lawn was long, right? And I said, "Can I cut your grass?" Well, they told me no. They said no, but and I was a kid, right? And I had a lawnmower behind me, and I was like, "Hey, I'm just looking for some work." They said, "You know what? We have someone cutting their grass. They're supposed to come tomorrow, but why don't you wash our 2 cars? We have a small business, and yeah, come back this afternoon and wash the cars." So I made like $40, and it was like $10 an hour, which I was too young to even work anywhere. The point is, if you need money fast, you have to go out and do something like probably a service of some kind, and then you can get paid immediately and then go from there. All right, what are your questions? All right, let's see. And by the way, just to get the chat going, if you like this format with the crude, not crude pictures, but crudely drawn pictures, like the very quick sketches. If you like these, if you like me talking a little faster, not watching the chat for a few minutes, let me know. Additionally, in the comments, if you're watching the replay, does this move faster? Do you like this? If so, I can do more of it and attempt to, deliver content sans the chat, and then I'll come back to the chat as needed. Okay, here we go. Mads says, is 1 week in your time like 1 week of doing spare time work next to your everyday job, or 1 week full time? It is part time. So like 1 hour per day, Mads. Good question. So about 1 hour per day, 5 to 7 days a week, depending on your experience level, right? If you've never used the keyword research tool, it may take you a little while to get the hang of it, but you'll get faster with it. Hey, you says, this is awesome. You appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for watching. And as a as a thank you, I see we have a handful of people on. If you click the thumbs up, or if you're watching the replay, please click the thumbs up. Leave a comment. Actually, leave comments on my videos, even if you just say thanks or whatever. Like, all that stuff is appreciated. Right now, I've been publishing a crazy amount of content, and I think I'm getting some traction. So any comments you leave, and other videos you watch, it's all a good thing. So the more you watch, the better. If you're watching replays, I encourage you to put it on 2x time, and then you could watch more of my videos in less time. That sort of stuff. That's a good productivity hack right there. You could even do it on your phone now, by the way. All right. Eunice says, how much content do you need to make $500 a month on average? It depends. There's many factors in there, but I would say a good ballpark is like 20 to 25 posts. Santiago says, why 50% affiliate? Why 50% info articles? Couldn't it all be affiliate articles? 2 major problems with that, Santiago. Excellent question, though. Number one, if you have all affiliate content and you're not already in the Amazon Associates program, they could deny you and say there's too much advertising content on your site. In fact, they can just randomly go take a look at your site and say, hey, there's too much affiliate content, there's too much advertisement on your site, and they could shut down your account. So that's number one. The second reason is Google doesn't like sites that only have affiliate content. So if you do that, your content needs to be really awesome, like say the Wirecutter or other big sites like that. If you do the 50-50, it's a nice mix. And the other like advantage, a secondary advantage. So those are the 2 primary. Amazon doesn't like it. Google doesn't like it. Okay. You can get a thin content penalty if you trigger it. The secondary thing is with informational articles, because people aren't going for them, right, is often you could potentially rank and get more traffic on your site. So that's a good thing overall. Barry's on, what's up? Shanna, yeah. Thoughts on just buying guest posts? I would stay away from it. Nick's on, what's up? Gary says, as a web designer, you're good at optimizing for quick load time. Have I ever found page load time on an Amazon site being slower? Is there a recommended amount of products per page? Potentially, but it's not really dependent on the number of products per page. If you're thinking, Greg, on like the WooCommerce stuff that we were chatting about yesterday, maybe. But again, I don't go that route. Keto says, do I always use Amazon? Yeah, I do. Even if Commission Junction has the same product at 10% and a 120-day cookie. Here's the thing you're missing. So yes, I just do Amazon. Here's the thing you're missing, Shane. If people buy other stuff on Amazon, which they do, you'll get commissions on that stuff. If they buy on Commission Junction, they're not buying other stuff. They're only buying that thing. So even if you get a higher commission rate, longer cookie, I would encourage you to test it. It may be more profitable to go with Commission Junction for sure. But for me, I just stick with Amazon because people buy more on Amazon and it converts better, even if the commission rate's lower and the cookie is only 24 hours. I buy stuff on Amazon like once a week. All right. So test it though. Every niche is different. Every site is different. I'm not saying what I'm telling you here is the only way to do it, but it is a way to do it and it seems to work. By the way, if I'm answering your question and you find me at least moderately interesting, which is a push, please hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. Okay. Alexandria says, would I do a public project? No, probably not. The thing is with the public projects, they usually get negative SEO and screwed up. So I know my friends over at Income School, really smart guys, Jim and Ricky, they're awesome. Check out their channel if you haven't checked them out before. And basically they do public stuff. So you can go see, their keywords. You can see exactly what they're doing. You can see their content and all that stuff. They don't build backlinks though. So they say they don't want it. There's a video that says building backlinks is useless, something like that. I think they would agree, if you are building backlinks, it could help, but they're proponents of not doing backlinks. David says, does my course teach this? Yes. Okay, 10 more minutes of questions, and then I need to jet. Okay. And Alexandra says, you're a student, by the way. Cool. Are you a student, Alexandra, in Five-Figure Niche Site or like a student in general? And then we have Anthony says, the thumbnails and video quality is improving. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. The reason is because I'm not doing either one of those things. I have good lights, my camera, I like cameras and stuff, but I stopped editing and I have someone doing thumbnails for me. She's doing awesome. Bynum, what's the bottleneck for me building hundreds of sites? This is just a question since I'm a good project manager and have it dialed in. Really time, right? So here's the thing. I decided I was going to have an internet marketing blog, a YouTube channel, and have a course. That takes a lot of time and effort. I have some friends who I've been in a mastermind group with, and they decided they were going to focus on just the affiliate side. They were just going to be marketers. They didn't want to have, a public presence or anything like that. They're able to, build more sites. They have more sites out there. And for me, I found it interesting to, I guess, have a public platform, have a platform to do other stuff. So I'm going deeper on that. So the bottleneck is me. The bottleneck's me. The other part, Bynum, is like, could I build a team to do all this? Yeah. But as I pointed out in a couple other videos, not that you should have seen this, but if I wanted to, I could build a team to do a lot of stuff, but then you end up virtually with the same kind of job as I had before, where I sit at the top and I have managers I have to meet with each week for status meetings and stuff, and then have other people underneath, basically an org chart. And I really don't want to do that, at least, right now. Could there be a time where, I want to do that? Maybe, but right now, no. Okay. Okay, Nick says, nice work on the content. Appreciate it. Formulaic says, love the videos, and you're on a live stream. Awesome. And then okay. And Greg, yeah, products in the sidebar. I would say, don't distract people from the main form of content, which is in the middle. And Shanna 2 says, why choose a niche? Why not 10 beasts and review anything? Any reason to niche down? You know what? You can do it however you want. So I say it's better to niche down and focus. But if you want to do that, here's the thing. I've seen so many failed sites where someone's like, I'm going to review everything. I don't want to limit myself. And then they fail to make their first dollar. So if it's working for you, stick with it. Eunice says the average price of a product you should review. Again, many caveats, but I'll just say if you could do maybe like $75 to $100, give or take $20, that's probably a good average. Andrew says, can I recommend Blogger for niche sites or WordPress? You're on a budget. Okay. You know what? Save up and get cheaper hosting. All right. Just save up. You're better off. If you could save a few bucks a month, you'll be able to do it. Could you launch it on Blogger or something like that? I think you may be able to. Another route, it's different. It's a different model. It may be more competitive. It may be different, but you could do this on YouTube, right? If you're as handsome as I am, then you can go on YouTube and you can make videos for free. You can shoot it on your phone. You don't have to write stuff out as much, right? You still have to fill out the description, and from there you can put your affiliate links in the description and review products. People search for stuff on YouTube all the time. If you're on a budget, save up or find, I would go on YouTube before I would do Blogger stuff, just because, well, I like YouTube. So, all right. Next is, at what point is a site complete and become passive? How do you know when to stop adding volumes of content? Totally up to you. If you basically, either you'll stop adding content or you'll just say, hey, this is enough money for me. So it's completely up to you, right? There's no wrong answer. There's no right answer. For me, I've hit a few hundred posts and I'm like, you know what? I think that's enough content. I'm going to spend some more time on the outreach part. Okay, Santiago, glad that helped. And Amin, do I think that Fiverr is the fastest way to get penalized? I don't know, maybe. All right. From large sites like Ages from large site, from Wirecutter and best reviews are everywhere. If you see them ranking for a keyword you also want to rank, should you still do it? It depends. You have to look at, your site, the content, and everything else. Eunice says, how do you go about brainstorming a niche? Basically, a couple easy ways. Go to Amazon, just start looking around. If you want to sit down and just brainstorm, you could do that. One of my favorite ways is to go into like a retail shop, say like a Walmart or another big discount store or Target. You can go to a grocery store, whatever you want to do, and just walk through, look at the products, keep a list. You'll find like so many ideas just looking at products. All right. And then I'm going to have to go here in a second, but I'm going to try and get through the questions. David says, what kind of task could be outsourced? Basically anything you want. Good to see you on here, David, by the way. Appreciate it. Anthony says, do I prefer to use text links? The answer is yes, I prefer to. Bastian says, when do I consider your page to go live? As soon as possible. James is on. Awesome. And Bastian, see, here's the thing. Today, I have a meeting coming up, so I'm going to have to leave soon, which is unfortunate, but I will remind you that on Fridays, I do just general Q&A, same time, same place, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And the live stream I did yesterday afternoon, just from my phone, a little more casual, that went well. So I may do another one later on today. Greg says, based on the 50-50 rule, the Woo Zone option would mean thin content unless you have be good to get on Alex's opinion, see how he gets around that. Hey, you know what? Check with Alex, but I'm pretty sure I'm not 100%. Alex and I are friends, so I'm not talking behind his back, but I'm pretty sure I have more experience on the Amazon affiliate side and the SEO side. So I would follow the 50-50 rule. I wouldn't try and get around anything, right? It's not worth it. Just, do 50-50. The woo zone stuff, I don't think it's necessary. I think it's a waste of time. Okay. Anthony says, would I ever do a tier note of my own content? No. Bastian says, oh, thanks for the videos. You're welcome. How much for my course? It is an expensive course. It's not for everyone. I want people that are very serious about what they're working on. So the minimum is like $600 to get in, but enrollment is closed for now. I'm pretty selective just in general on who I'm working with. So that helps, get people that are very serious. Duke says, would I be willing for a price to do a private teardown of a website and offer suggestions? Yes, I do that. I do private one-on-one coaching. I do try and I turn more people away than I accept. And basically, I want to make sure I could help you. So Duke, you send me some information. I'm pretty sure I can help you. My hourly rate is $247 at this point in time. So in the future, it may go up, but at this point in time, that's for an hour. I do some prep ahead of time, and then you'll have an action plan after that. Okay. I'm trying to get through as fast as possible. Okay. And just a reminder, if you ask a question in the chat, don't keep putting it in. So it just takes me a second to get through. So don't put in your question more than once. Pete says, do I incorporate the skyscraper method into product reviews? No, generally not, but it's a reasonable strategy if you stack it with others. Jones says, any advice on picking a domain name? Keep it simple. Don't try and be too cute. Any tips on any video tips on checking keyword competition? Search my channel. That is a more complicated thing, and I keep most of that stuff in the course, but there's some interesting stuff on finding that information. Do I ever notice competitors with posts with 0 backlinks? Yes. Okay. Thanks everyone for watching. I do need to go. Again, if you got any value from this, please like the video. If you really want to give me a hand when the video publishes later, you could leave a comment and say like, hey, I was on the live stream, really enjoyed it. In all the videos, right? Any of the recent videos coming out, if you just leave any comment, if you reply back to each other, I see the same folks on here. So if you talk to each other within the chat and say like, hey Lance, hey David, Nick, Greg, whoever, and just say like, hey, good comment, pat yourselves on the back. Appreciate the moderators were keeping it really tight, and I honestly couldn't do it without you. So I really appreciate it. Okay. And I see the one last question. Do I think gambling niches are worth it? I have no idea. If you're into it, then give it a shot. But anything where like the payout's higher, where you can make more money faster and all that, risk is higher. All right. Thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.